Fairy tales are one aspect that makes up our childhoods that many people can recall all around the world. The PG stories we read or watch made up our childhood, but the family-friendly content we know might not just be as pure as we probably were led to believe. Alice is one such example where the whimsical, nonsensical Wonderland we know could be more dark and creepier than we could ever imagine. I'm going to review two movies that are supposedly the dark and or horror versions of Alice in Wonderland. So let's begin.
Alice.
The movie starts off with Alice by the water bank, sitting next to her sister. At least I assume it's her sister, but in the original, because what her family dynamic is never established in the movie. But who is letting this little girl be in a room like this? Messy, dirty, and weird. Quasi PS. As she's sitting in her room, she notices a white rabbit in a tank getting ready, and Alice decides to follow it outside through a lone drawer when the rabbit, who's late to meet the Queen of Hearts, ran away from her, which that will keep on happening throughout the movie whenever she tries to speak to it.
Tak pozdě, zanaříkal bílý králík. Halo, pane!
Alice ends up in a locked room similar to the original, where she finds a way to shrink into a doll or go back to her normal size. Alice shrinks into a doll and is rushed out of the room by her tears from crying earlier from not fitting through the door. While in doll form, the rabbit mistakes her for Marianne and is having a convo with her despite earlier it always running away from her in human form. He tells her to give him scissors from a dollhouse, and when she gets them, she also drinks the liquid that makes her big. Now, why would she drink it? Especially since she drank it before and she knows what it does. However, she's big now and doesn't want the rabbit seeing her in this form again. He needs those scissors and is annoyed, but Alice blocks the door, stopping him, and the other skeletal creatures he had help get inside the dollhouse. Alice is able to shrink again when the rocks the rabbit throws at her through the window turns into cookies, and she sneaks out, but they catch her. She falls into milk and turns into this giant, freakish doll and gets locked in a room where various creatures and items come to life. Alice escapes her giant cocoon body and decides not to eat the cookie or drink the liquid, and instead uses a key. Next, Alice enters various weird rooms such as socks burrowing holes into the floor, where she meets the sock caterpillar, a room with a dollhouse and a baby crying, but it's actually from a pig. Lastly, Alice enters a room with the March Hare and the Mad Hatter, which to me was the strangest and creepiest vibe in a room that we visited. But Alice, she don't get scared.
Není místa, není místa. Já chci čistý šálek. Poposedněme o jedno místo, řekl kloboučník. Já chci čistý šálek. Poposedněme o jedno místo. Já chci čistý šálek. Já chci čistý šálek, řekl kloboučník.
Though that room was the creepiest to me, it was also the most captivating how weird these characters move and interacted. After leaving this room, following the rabbit, we finally see the Queen of Hearts, who wants to chop Alice's head off from eating the cookies when she was going around Wonderland. Alice wasn't dumb and was not going to admit to that through a script that they had her read so they can get her punished. She eats the cookie right in front of them and then ends up waking back in reality in her own room with the deck of cards in her lap. The various things we saw in Wonderland are in her room, so she dreamt it all. She goes into the broken tank, though, from earlier and finds the hidden scissors the rabbit took at the beginning of the movie, and that's just how the movie ends. This was great. Honestly, I don't know what else to say. The set, structure, animation, so much makes this movie good. To me, it was definitely creepy, but not scary. It was just a strange movie. A deviation from what we're used to with Alice, but just so strange. I have no words how the director came up with all of this. Amazingly strange and creepy. I can see a kid finding this scary as the various characters seen and talk strange. I didn't like the White Rabbit's reaction at times to Alice's voice. Whenever he'd lick his watch, or the Mad Hatter and the March Hare scene, and the repetition of their actions and words. But the creepiness and weirdness feeling of Wonderland makes sense because that's what Wonderland is about. Nothing truly makes sense. Skeletal creatures roam around, there's a pig, livestock, choose your pick. I love how the dialogue was told through Alice as if she was reading a book. Having close-up of Alice's mouth when she spoke and ending off with he said, she said, added to Alice being in Wonderland, not actually being real. I mean, that was obvious from the beginning with her sitting by her sister at the water bank, then us seeing a similar scene staged with her dolls, her leaving the room where a wall should be and ended up outside when chasing the rabbit. I really liked Alice as a character. I thought the way she called out to the rabbit was amusing and how she wasn't stupid to confess to her crimes in front of the queen. She needed to stop eating everything she came across, but seeing the situation she ended up in because of it was amusing. But where are her parents? Because her room is a mess. Lastly, the use of live action and stop motion was just so good. I would say for me, it was obvious when they would switch to animations whenever Alice was in more direct contact with the characters, but it was still done so well that I have no complaints. I will definitely check out more work from the creator to see if I can find one that can truly creep me out. I can say my expectation for this movie was considerably low, but this movie did not disappoint. I can even imagine this as a horror movie. Just go watch it and see how the settings, character, just the story of Alice in Wonderland could be a horror story. Oh wait, our next movie may just give us the horror in Wonderland we want.
Alice in Terrorland.
The movie starts off in a house fire that Alice survives, but not her parents. Sometime after the funeral, Alice begins living with her grandmother Beth, who she never met before, in the Crimsley house, or what Beth likes to call Wonderland. She's a weird one. Alice quickly becomes sick her first night there and begins hallucinating various characters from Alice in Wonderland while Beth reads her the book and Alice drinks her tea. The girl is sick. She's on her deathbed. She's throwing up. Get her to a doctor. First, she hallucinates a bloody white rabbit who she sees by the woods with dead kids' bodies. Then she sees Tallulah and Tara, twins who tell her the story of the walrus, a man who was bullied in school and later in life kidnaps people and cooks their flesh. She wakes up from this hallucination, still sick, mind you, and Beth gets her a stuffed animal. Send her to a doctor. Alice wakes up to her room being on fire, but she's hallucinating. She does that a lot. Next, she hallucinates the caterpillar man, and he questions how she dealt with her parents' death by shutting it out, and whether the Red Queen has her best interest at heart. This time, when Alice wakes up from her dream, she wants to see a doctor, and she throws up in the bathroom, and Beth is just watching her. Oh, weirdo. When Alice wakes up in Wonderland again, she's dressed as a therapist and sitting beside a scarred up girl whose crime is scarring up her victim's face because it's art. But Alice wants to know who scarred up her own face. It was the Red Queen, who we meet next, whose lipstick smear is similar to the Scar Girl Joker's smile, and her appearance was uneventful. The last Wonderland character we meet is the Mad Hatter, who tells Alice that grief is what brought them to Wonderland, and the Red Queen is grief, which she feeds into. He tells her that something's been put into her tea that Beth keeps giving her, duh, and Alice wakes up to Tallulah, or Tara, telling her she needs to leave the house. Alice is sick and struggling to get down them stairs, where Beth ends up realizing that Alice has found her out. Beth was poisoning Alice's tea because she believed that damn old house is hers and shouldn't be inherited by Alice or Alice's mother, who is her daughter, who she killed by starting that fire that killed the parents in the beginning. They play a card game called Rummy where Beth wins, but Alice is able to switch the cup of the tea, which is poison, that Beth ends up drinking, but when she finds out that she drunk the poison tea, Granny starts tweaking out. Alice is able to stab her and Granny dies. The house is now on fire. Alice leaves, seeing the white rabbit ahead of her, which maybe he actually was never a hallucination. Then the movie ends with Alice narrating a poem about something, maybe about what happened in life, but I didn't care to pay attention. I was just done with the movie. Now, what are my thoughts on this movie? First off, what a scam. I wanted to watch this movie because of the poster and Alice with blood on herself. Never ended up happening. She never even wore the damn dress. Excuse me. Based on the fire in the beginning, I thought Alice was gonna go on a revenge spree. But no, we just got a predictable movie. Like, no duh. Beth was making her sick. And she was shady as like killing your own daughter or trying to kill Alice because the house speaks to you and tells you stories and you don't want them to inherit the house. Like, I'm still confused on her plan.
I hope you understand why I had to do it. This house means everything to my family. Can't you hear the walls? They're talking to me, singing to me about its histories, its stories. I had to save her. That's why I had to poison you.
Why?
It was always supposed to be mine, not yours. You were supposed to die in that fire too.
It was you who started the fire. For my inheritance.
Like I said, I refuse to lose this house.
As your own daughter. You killed my parents and you tried to kill me. For money.
Not for the money, you stupid, stupid girl. For Wonderland.
Lock her crazy ass up. Like, my whole move was ruined with the misleading poster. The only good thing I can say is the use of the Wonderland characters outside a traditional Wonderland world compared to the previous movie, but again, it was meh. The order of my favorite characters, though, were the twins, Scargirl, Mad Hatter, Walrus, Rabbit, Red Queen, Beth, and then Alice. Oh, and then that damn caterpillar. Other than the first three characters, though, the others are really just meh. I honestly forgot that this was supposed to be horror, so the moments where jump scares occurred did end up startling me because I wasn't even paying attention to the screen. So honestly, the music is what got me. That is all for today's video. Go watch Alice 1988 and skip Alice in Terrorland, because where exactly was the terror? Because I'm still trying to figure this movie out. I thought we were going to get something similar to the Pool movie, but maybe better. I don't know. I'll forever have beef with this movie if I keep thinking about it. Like, comment, and subscribe. What dark or horror movies based on fairy tale characters do you guys like? It doesn't have to be fairy tale focused. Just comment what dark or horror movie is your fave instead. I always want new recs, especially to wipe my palate from that second movie. See you next time. I was your host, Jen, and this has been Jen Star. Happy Halloween. Stay hopeful. Stay safe. Peace. Mwah.